Oh, it's gonna be okay, little guy. I know. It's so sad, but it's gonna be okay. I promise. I got you. You're safe. Oh, hello, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. I'm real sorry you had to see this. Chompy's been having a real tough time lately because he read online that, unfortunately, Emperor would very likely never release another album. In a recent interview with El Planeta del Rock, the band's lead singer, guitarist, and overall mastermind, Ihsahn said, "So, unless planets align in the ways that me and Semoff just really connect over a common idea that we really want to make, I really don't see that happening. And also, then again, name me one band who broke up and then did a reunion record where people were like, this is amazing, this is even better than the old stuff. It doesn't really happen because it's impossible because you can't compete with nostalgia." What's that, Chompy? Why, yes, there are some reunion albums that are awesome and arguably on par with classic material from the band in question. Take, for instance, Surgical Steel from Carcass, At War with Reality from At the Gates, Realms of Oblivion from Possess, most recently Swallowed by Hell from Morbid Saint. But we have to respect Mr. Ishan's wishes. He just doesn't want to do it, and he doesn't think it would be right. You still have Wrath of the Tyrant. You can still go listen to that. You can still go listen to Anthems to the Welcome at Dusk. You can still go listen to that. Oh, I know, you want new Emperor. It's just not the same. I know. God, what a fucking baby, am I right? I know. I know. Well, Chompy, if that's really truly what you want, then believe it or not, I have some kind of good news for you. Because even though Ihsahn is not interested in making another Emperor album, he is interested in putting out solo material, and he has a new self-titled album that revisits his Emperor roots in a certain capacity and extent. Okay, buddy, how about you get yourself a snack and a glass of water? Let's try to calm down, maybe watch a movie or play some video games while I talk to everyone out there watching the Metal Meltdown here and now about this brand new self-titled album from this Norwegian black metal icon and pioneer. This is the 8th full-length studio solo album from Ihsahn, and I have to concede I've never really paid a ton of attention to his solo output. I've never really done like a deep dive into his specific discography. However, I am familiar with a few records, namely more recent ones like Arctis, Aimer, the Pharos and Telemark EPs, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all of those. And I also love the aforementioned Emperor and records like In the Nightside Eclipse and Anthems to the Welcome at Dusk, which I think are still to this day some of the best black metal records ever made. Now, obviously, as a result, I was paying close attention to the release of this new self-titled album. I know for a fact that for a lot of people, this is one of the most anticipated, like, black metal, extreme metal records of 2024. But as we got closer and closer to the release date, and as I learned more about the record and heard more from it, I think I kind of came to the realization that this could be the closest we will ever get to a brand new Emperor album. As Ihsahn writes in a lengthy press release, "At the heart of what I do is black metal, extreme distorted guitars and screaming, but since the earliest Emperor recordings, you'll hear the keyboard parts influenced by classic soundtracks by the likes of Jerry Goldsmith, John Williams, Bernard Herrmann, John Carpenter, and so on. So I approach the writing with the intent to present the material in its own full-blown metal expression, but also to arrange the orchestral parts in such a way that they would work independently. Somehow, an attempt to write a soundtrack within the structures of the full production, allowing me to explore different and sometimes contrasting variations of essentially the same music. In the end, I wrote all the music as a piano short score and arranged it for a typical band ensemble and orchestra, accordingly, making sure everything interlocked." Put more simply, this is essentially a symphonic, progressive black metal record bringing together a wide variety of influences and ideas from across Ihsahn's musical career. It's big, it's bold, it's dynamic, it's rich, it's cinematic, and cram-packed with emotion and tons of twists and turns. One of which including that there are actually two versions of this album. One that has the orchestra and the symphony and the band, and Ihsahn on lead vocals, and another that is purely orchestral and instrumental. You've got the double whammy of Service Venerator and Promethean Spark opening this record with dazzling majestic horns, swelling strings, soaring clean vocals, venomous black metal shrieks and scowls as well, some simplistic, almost muted metallic chugging that keeps things moving along at a nice snappy pace. There's definitely a lot going on here right off the bat, but it is extremely well balanced. I'm reminded of prior Ihsahn outings as well as more recent material from Enslaved and even Opeth. Then there's Pilgrimage to Oblivion, a much more aggressive and bombastic cut with explosions of symphonic bluster and a kind of darkness and brutality and size and scale and feel that is very much on par with symphonic black metal from like the late 90s going into the early 2000s. I'm definitely reminded of some Dimmu Borgir here, and I'm also reminded of the Last Emperor album, Prometheus, The Fire in the Distance. I love the use of dizzying strings here. I love the use of like this massive thunderous percussion as well. And its descent later on into eerie, hypnotic, mid-pace, like progressive metal with like multi-layered monotonous vocals and some like more hectic, chaotic string arrangements. That's really cool. Genuinely puts a chill down my spine. Then there's A Tale of Ambrosia, which despite a few more eccentric moments has a very like cold and miserable and almost unsettling kind of atmosphere and vibe with very slow-paced, melancholic, gloomy riffs and melodies. It kind of has like an epic, symphonic, blackened death doom kind of vibe and feel going on here. Like if a vampire were to write a death doom ballad, it might sound like this. Then there's Blood Trails to Love, which does a really good job balancing a bunch of different moods and tones. In the very beginning, we have some more cold, acidic kind of black metal. Then we have a chorus that feels like it could have been pulled from like a really introspective and heartfelt prog metal ballad. And then later on, we have some, dare I say, wacky, goofy orchestral moments with a variety of different instruments and bells and whistles and these big, bold, loud, brassy horns. Like, for a hot minute, it really does kind of feel as if Diablo Swing Orchestra took over. Hell, if you were to ask Diablo Swing Orchestra to write a really epic, emotive, progressive black metal opus, I'm willing to bet this is what they'd churn out. And though I would argue that the closing number at the Heart of All Things Broken is maybe just a little bit too long, I will concede that the vast bulk majority of this cut is delicious and tasty and nutritious, chock full of emotion and progressive black metal goodness. Now, I should note that throughout the majority of this review, we've been talking about the metal version of this self-titled album. And I'd like to now point out that the orchestral version is pretty interesting and beautiful as well. It has a lot of the same twists and turns and highs and lows and peaks and valleys as the metal edition. The songs are not fundamentally that much different. The skeleton is very much the same, but it's the muscle and the body that has been altered, and it has a much different kind of like feel and presentation. It shows, I would say, a much more sweet and tender side of the music, and at times even more complex. There's a nakedness to these recordings that I think is really powerful, despite them also still being quite lush and evocative. I'm feeling a strong 4 to 5 on both versions of this self-titled album. This really was an amazing experience. It's vast and immersive and just consistently so rewarding. And yes, for you longtime Emperor fans still crying just like Chompy about a new Emperor album, this really is the closest I think we will ever get to a new Emperor album. So dig in. I can't really comment on like where this would rank alongside other Ihsahn solo outings, but I can tell you out of all of his solo works that I have listened to, this is maybe my favorite. Once again, very strong 4 to 5. Definitely check this out. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.